Let's just give it a couple more minutes before we get started. So we have people joining right now. So we'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started.
Sure.
So everybody who's joining the call now. So meanwhile, if you guys can introduce yourself and provide your LinkedIn profile on the chat window, so we could use it for networking, that will be great. So are you back in the US, Ganesh?
Yeah, Surendra, I am.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, Ashwin, nice to have you here. Hey, Shiv, Ankita, Sonesh, welcome. Hey, Misal. Great. So I think we can get started. So welcome everybody to this session of our series of webinars that we have been doing for the past few months. The series is called From Cold to Sold. And as part of this series, we've been interviewing various different folks from the industry, people who've been doing sales, who've been doing outbound, founders, and other B2B related folks. So today, as part of the session, we have a very special guest, and this guest, we've already introduced him on our post. So it is Ganesh from Responsive. So a quick introduction about Ganesh and Responsive. So Ganesh is the CEO, one of the co-founders and CEO at Responsive. And before Responsive, he has been handling product management and handled various business development roles for companies like Xtero and others. Ganesh and his co-founders started Responsive in the year 2015. And Responsive helps customers manage their RFPs, which Ganesh will be talking about in more detail. Responsive has grown to over a 500-member team in less than 8 years, and also has acquired over 2,000 customers, which includes 25 of the Fortune 100 customers, Fortune 100 companies in the world. So today's session, we're going to be talking a lot about how they went about starting Responsive and how was this growth achieved in such a short span of time. So welcome, Ganesh, to the show. Good morning, and thank you so much for doing this for all of us.
Awesome. Thank you, Surendra. I appreciate you inviting me for your webinar. So honored to be joining. Thank you, folks. I know it's a little late in the evening for folks in India. I appreciate you staying late.
Great. Wonderful. So we have attendees from India, from Europe and US as well. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you've been joining from. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining the session. I can guarantee there's going to be a session that is filled with a lot of knowledge sharing experiences from Ganesh, who has offered his time with us. So before any further delay, let's quickly get started, Ganesh. I did provide a quick introduction. So let's quickly talk about your background. What were you doing before responsive, and how did you conceive the idea of responsive?
Yeah, happy to share, Surendra. So, little bit of a background. I'm originally from Coimbatore, India. So, I finished my MBA in 2005, and then I wanted, even before my undergrad was computer science. When I was finishing up my computer science graduation, I realized that was not my cup of tea, doing technology. It's ironic that today I run a technology company, but back then, 2003, when I was finishing up my computer science graduation, I figured that that's not mine. So I switched my career to MBA. I did finance and marketing, and out of college, I got into stockbroking. Worked for a company called India Bulls as a relationship manager. Basically, a feet on street, sales job. Needing to sell demat account and selling, mutual funds, insurance. That is where I started. And 2009 mark, or 2008, 2009 stock market crash came in. So it was very hard on me, and I figured that is not something I enjoy, seeing customers' money erode, pretty much overnight, a lot of things. So I decided to pivot. Then in 2009, I joined a little a startup called New Street. They're into technology. They developed ERP system basically for SMB businesses who were managing their ERP in an Excel sheet, and who could not afford to buy SAP or Oracle. We wanted to give an intermediary solution who could not afford the bigger ones, and who was wanting to transition from Excel based documentation. So New Street, I was there for almost a year, and then that was in Chennai. So I was there in Chennai for three years. So I wanted to move back to my native, which is Coimbatore, in 2010. So I decided to apply for this company called Xtero. In fact, I was their first business analyst. This is in 2010, and as a career progression, I moved on from a business analyst to a lead, and then became a product manager. And the time I quit, I was the head of products. So being a part of product team for a mid-sized company, you're technically considered a pre-sales team. So being part of the pre-sales, I was responding to a lot of RFPs, because my role was helping my sales team to win RFPs. So, but I was there for almost 8 years. Never once my manager, my boss, chief product officer, called me and said, "Hey, Ganesh, you did a fantastic RFP. Here is your pay raise." I vividly remember there were probably only two instances where sales reps gave me few $100 gift cards, helping them to win the deal. That's about it. But if you look at it, my primary job as a product manager was, sprint planning, release planning, competitive analysis. So that's what I was supposed to do. But a lot of time I ended up spending more time on helping the sales team on responding to RFPs. That's when actually this is the time frame in 2011, 12 time frame, when all those cloud transitions were happening from on-prem solution. Cloud was catching up, so a lot of security questionnaires were coming in. So part of that is when I estimate close to about 30% of my time was spent on sales support activities, but not directly connected to my KPI, or nothing I was being measured on. So similarly, my two other co-founders, Shankar and Sundar, you can consider as three different subject matter experts. I was all along product side. Sundar, my current CTO, was all along the engineering manager, and Shankar, my current COO, was implementation manager. So all of us shared the same pain point of responding to our fees, but not seeing any benefit in our KPI. So we decided to look into the market to see if there are any technology out there. So that's when we realized there is no technology. So this is in 2005, 14, mid of 15. So we decided to do more research, and by mid of 15, we had a very strong conviction that there is no technology out there. So we decided to take the reins on our own hand. By end of 2015, launched the product in 2016. So today we are in 2023. It's been a wild ride, but we've been thoroughly enjoying every bit of it.
Great, great. That's kind of the right kind of mix that you want for a founder team to be able to handle different components. So it's great that you've been able to form such a team. The most exciting aspect of responsive is that it is a category creator, right? So we've not really heard too much about companies that help you manage RFPs and respond to RFPs before RFP and before responsive. So and being a category creator, did that make you nervous that you are stepping into a new zone, something that others have ignored or they've not seen it, but did it make you nervous stepping into something new?
Yeah, no, again, when we launched the company and the product, it was not really, to be completely transparent and honest, we were not thinking about creating a category or anything. And I even had no idea what category creation is back then, 2015. So when we launched the product, we were clubbed into this broader category called proposal management. Actually, I'll talk about the evolution of different categories that we have been gone through. So initially, that is no more in the starting of the business. We've been put under this box of proposal management software. Technically, if you look at it, proposal management is if you're a freelancer trying to send a proposal, you don't have time to design a proposal. You are a database administrator, so you can use those technology. Companies, even DocuSign can give you the template proposal templates. But that's when we realized that is probably about 10% of what we do. RFPs tend to involve a lot more work than just sending out a proposal. It requires, technically you have to manage it as a project. It has to be collaborative because you need subject matter experts to collaborate, and it has to help you to manage your content. There are multiple pieces. So we started evangelizing this category called RFP software. If you look at G2 Crowd or Capterras of the world, there was no such thing called RFP software back then. I'm talking about in 2016, 17 timeframe. It was called proposal management. So we started pitching this idea of RFP software. And if today there is a separate grid and there is a separate category called RFP software, but I do believe that kind of we were short-sighted in a way. In a way, we were short-sighted. We jumped on the gun a little too early. When I say as this RFP software, because off late, I don't know how many of you know, we were called as RFPIO. Prior when we started the company, the company was branded as RFPIO to be straightforward on what we do. But over a period of time, like you said, Surendra, we now have about 2,000 customers and pretty large scale customers. They started using the platform beyond just RFP. Even in fact, we have customers use the platform for grant writing. It has nothing to do with RFP. Security questionnaires, due diligence questionnaires, analyst questionnaires. A lot of people started using the application for any sort of questionnaire that they have to respond to the outside world. So hence we rebranded earlier this year to Responsive. So if you look at that evolution, it is not RFP software. So we started evangelizing then is what we are calling it as SRM. SRM stands for Strategic Response Management. How do you manage all your RFP response is a strategic response because it wins you a deal. Your ESG questionnaire, which is now popular, it's a strategic response because if you want to report to government authority or you're an investor, you've got to be very strategic in how you respond. Analyst questionnaire, grant writing, everybody required putting the best foot forward, give the best content, which is nothing but a strategic content. That content that you're putting in that document needs to win you a deal, needs to secure a customer, needs to prevent churn, needs to help you to be in the number one position. So a lot of things it helps you to achieve. So it is strategic. So we started evangelizing this concept of strategic response management, and that is what we are after. Of course, category creation is in a very expensive route. Again, it's not easy. We didn't anticipate, but we did see an opportunity and we see start. In today, in every aspect, we are the youngest kid in the block when we started the company, but we overtook the market in every. I think for number two is probably half the size of what we are in terms of everything, be it customers, employees, revenue. But it made it became very clear in 2020, just before COVID, there is a need for a solution like this, but nobody was calling it in a way that we were calling it out. So if at all, for people who are listening on the phone, on the call, if you want to understand what a category creation is, I highly encourage you all to read this book called Play Bigger. It is an amazing book for people to understand what is a category, why what they call it. The authors call it as category kings. Basically, the category leaders take about 80% of the market share, and the remaining 20% is what fizzles out to the other players in the same space. So, Play Bigger is an amazing book if anybody is interested to understand. It's very engaging, so you won't feel bored. I'm not a big book reader, but I would highly encourage you to read that book if at all you're interested in understanding what this category creation means and why it is such an important topic.
You said Play Bigger, right?
Yeah, Play Bigger. Yeah, but by Al Ramadan. His name is A.L. Ramadan. Yeah.
Great. So your early challenges, possibly included, the obstacle. How do you go about the obstacle of this is a new category? So how do we convince customers that this is the problem that you should be solving? And so you probably worked a lot around those challenges. But can you briefly talk about what were your other challenges earlier? Was it about convincing the users about the problem, or was it building the product itself, the product management itself, or churn, for example? So your initial 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, again, we are not immune to challenges. Every company will have its own challenges. Different at different stages. It was different for us. All three of us was living paycheck to paycheck. Starting a company itself was a challenge. Back then. Pretty much I was living in US, but it's not like I had a big savings that I had in my bank account to start a company. Similarly, Shankar and Sundar are in a similar board. Again, like I said, we did not get up one day and said, okay, we're going to create a category leading company. It's not like that at all. It's kind of an evolution. We kind of seized upon it every juncture of the company. But challenge, if you look at challenges, I would say the first biggest challenge that I had for us was, of course, bringing on investors, early investors who need to trust. Basically, the first investors whom we brought kind of came on board with just a PowerPoint. We did not even had an actual product. It's only a PowerPoint deck, a business plan. But what separated us is the people who we approached knows us really well. It's not like somebody randomly we approached. These people have been working with us in the past. They know us. Okay, Ganesh, Shankar, and Shankar are very, very dedicated people. They've seen us on the floor. So that was initially to convince an investor to invest in our business was one. And then eventually what happened, we did not raise a ton of, it's initial investment were about $50,000. That's all we had, raised from investor. With that, actually convincing someone who have no idea what this company is to join as the first employee was the biggest challenge. We had employees before, don't get me wrong. Those are people who joined us because they know us. They joined not because of salary, because they know Ganesh, they know. In fact, at that time when we started, we also brought in our core team member Manish Bhavna in India, who's helped us set up the India office. So Manish is a key part of the journey. But Manish, and I worked with a few folks in the past, so we brought them on board. Touchwood, they're still with the company. Who we brought on board, to the company. But the biggest challenge I had in the US was to convince somebody who had no idea what RFPIO was back then and to join us. So that was the biggest challenge. And then eventually we got over it because they're putting their life and career on a very small startup. This is in 2016. And then convincing the first customer to really pay us. I still remember, those days, we were selling the product and, the customer said he's going to sit in a computer and then swipe his credit card. Back then we used to even have those kind of deals. I was sitting at my apartment and just keep refreshing the Stripe page to see if we got the payment, with just literally I was stick to the computer to see if we get the first paying customer, and which eventually we got. And from there on, I think it was a very good experience. That customer, referred us to another customer. That's kind of became like a pattern that we tend to follow. So a good product that we had. Again, one thing my journey is, if you look at it, right, all three of us, and including Manish, we had over almost 50 plus years of responding to RFP experience. But one thing we did not assume is the problem that we have is not the universe problem. So we're very clear. We know what the pain point is, but we did not assume that the solution that we are giving is the absolute solution. So like I said, we started in 2015. Almost 6 months we took time to validate. So that would be my another advice for anybody who's trying to come up with a B2B software idea. Don't assume that the problem that you face on your job probably is a spark, but that is not the complete problem. It could be much different. It's a much broader. So the version 1 of RFPIO to what we have today is a completely different product. Though the core is same, but the way we approach certain things, it was to my surprise, I thought this is the right way, but to my surprise, customers tell you, no, that's not the right way to do it. There are different ways. So don't go by a sample size of you. You should validate. That would be my other piece of advice.
Awesome. So when you're talking about your first customer, you probably had some sweet memories of that. I can very much relate to that. So you have grown significantly since then. Today over 2,000 customers and growing pretty fast. So what were your strategies to acquire your first 10 customers and then your first 100 customers? And after that, as of today, did your strategies change a lot? What were your key channels to acquire these customers?
Yeah, definitely. It has evolved. Again, as we grew the company now. Earlier, to answer your question, the first 10 customer came from my network. Because of my experience working with as a pre-sales manager or a product manager, I worked with different sellers, AEs in my career in the prior company. What I did is I approached all of them to say, because this product problem responding, nobody really likes to respond to RFPs. Back in 2016, when I approached, hey, I know you hated RFP, can I give you a solution? And immediately it connected. It immediately connected that. So I leveraged my network to bring probably first 10 customers or so. But eventually what happened is that, you will run out of that eventually, because you only have certain level of references that you can go, or your Rolodex completes at one point of time. So what we started doing early on in the process is, in fact, our first hire was not sales. In fact, I was doing sales, and we started focusing on what we called as content marketing, right? Content. What we realized is, I might have shared this with you or others. I was at a dinner trying to convince an investor to invest in our business. He eventually did not invest in our business, but during the dinner, the gentleman asked me, "Hey, where are you guys there where your customers are looking for?" So I was naive, to be completely honest. I was naive to think internally, say, "Oh, if I know where my customers are looking for, I will be there. What is this guy talking about?" So I was naive. But on my driveway home to my apartment, I was thinking, what is this? What does this really mean? And the first thing when I came home, I did was just opened my laptop and started Googling RFP software. Nothing came. As a consumer, again, I'm not saying, again, I don't want people on the call to assume Google is the one word, but it depends on different strategy. When I was in Chennai talking to one fintech and co-founder CEO, and his problem is, his brand is not seen on TV commercials on a stadium where or an endorsement from a actor or cricket player. So his problem is different versus mine. I was talking to an app-based application. You have to be on App Store or it can be events. So it depends on what it is. So for us, it was Google. So soon we realized, content marketing was key. So we started putting a lot more thoughtful content. We did not create crap content. That we were very clear from day one. Any content that we put, we will educate the customers. Be it surrounding the problem that we solve. So, and we did not get any of those content that we put. We did not get. We did not ask for, okay, if you want to download this white paper, if you want to download this report, if you want to download the ROI calculator, please provide your email. We did not do any of those things. We pretty much everything that we did was ungated. But we had a strategy to do that. Our strategy is eventually that the top of the funnel will come to the bottom and eventually become lead. This is what happened. Even until 2021, I would say 99% of our leads were inbound. 99%. I would say probably 1% just out of references outbound was there. Pretty much 99% of our. And so we started shifting gears in 2020, late 21, 22 timeframe to outbound. But content marketing was key. And also one other learning that I did was on the PPC. PPC worked out really great. PPC stands for pay per click. Be it Capterra or software advice or even there are other get accept or something like that or get app. So what I realized, a little, long story short, it's easy for you to spend a lot of money on the paper click. You will burn just like that. What I did 1 month is to have my team member who was managing that piece to be the number one. When somebody goes in or in a Google and they search Office software, the first result that we were getting is Capterra and GetApp and G2 Pro. The moment you click and go there and they click on that one, you are burning $5. Just again, I'm making things up. But I said, okay, why don't we be the number one? So what happened is we almost for a month we did that experiment. Number one on G2 product, not G2 product, Capterra or software advice. We burnt a lot of money, but it did not convert that into actual leads because people are just clicking and look, from Google, go land, click, boom, they vanish. So what we did, we changed the strategy. I made it very clear: don't be number one. It has to be number two to number four, not number five. So because anybody who's serious about evaluating, they will not just pick one vendor. They want to evaluate the top three or top five. So we had a strategy: never be number one, never go below five. We have to be in that range because Capterra allows you to be in that spot. So we were very, very thoughtful. We way did that is also I gave a budget at that back then. I remember $3,000 or $4,000 a month, but never once that the person who's managing she can go over $300. Basically, what she can only do is she doesn't need to come to me for an approval for almost $3,000 or $4,000, but she can only maximum do at any given time $300. But what it helped us is when $300 gets vanished, so she gets into the system because otherwise you will put $4,000, you will wait until $4,000 is burned. Whereas in this case, she only waited up to $300. So every time $300 gave her an opportunity to get into the system and bump up or bump down. Sometimes we went to number one. We didn't want to be number one spot. So we kind of came down. So that was a strategy I felt like really worked in our early stages. So today we have multiple channels, multiple strategies. So that was one of our early learnings. You can easily spend a lot of money, but if you're thoughtful, it could be an amazing channel for any business, the pay-per-click business. If your customers or if your audiences are looking in that area.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually. Great perspective on that.
Yeah.
So you've been acquiring these customers over the past 8 years. Was your strategy always around increasing the number of customers you had, or did you start working on increasing the ACV of each customer? So did you earlier start with like lower paying customers, and then you thought, okay, this the product can earn a lot more, and did you start trying to increase the ACV, or was it just continue to increase the customer base?
It varied a little, and it was a journey for us. I'm a very strong believer. If at all anybody want taking one or two points that in this from this meeting somebody's taking, this is one. I'm a strong believer of what I call this compensation drives behavior, time kills deeds, right? Compensation drives behavior. A lot of times, what I when I advise founders, I see them doing this mistake a lot. What I mean by mistake is people wanted to do they wanted the founders as founders we wanted the behavior in a way, but we tend to compensate our team members in a different way. It kind of contradicts. I'll tell you an example how I again, this is not the strategy. I already know it is just learning. I know it was just the experiment that we did in 2016 when we launched the company, or when we hired our first sales rep by end of 2016. This is in 2017 timeframe. I did this experiment. My biggest ask for my from my we had two sales reps back then. The biggest ask for me at that time is not about ACV. All I needed is paying customers, basically the logo count. I said, don't worry about how much they're paying. As long as they're paying customer, I will pay them. So the behavior at 2017 I wanted is paying monthly paying customers. Doesn't matter monthly or annual. I said as long as they're paying customer, I will give you a commission. So their focus has always been entire 2017 was bringing paying customers. So they did not wait for making the deal size larger. So we compensated them. So by end of 2017, we had about 200 customers, just paying customers. One thing along the way, I will also say this thing, right? And a lot of times, I'll come to that in a second. In 2017 was logo year for us. Was logo. 2018, I shifted the focus to say no, logo is great. We have 200 customers. Customers are very happy. We now have investors. So 2018 was stop monthly customers. We don't want monthly customers. We want an annual contract. We want customers who can pay annually. So I compensated for annual contracts, and we kind of incentivize people who were paying monthly. But I'll tell you, there was one learning in 2017 when we had these monthly contracts. I personally felt really helped us. Especially when we use credit card, right, in a month-to-month basis, it helps if a customer pays on month one. If they are not paying on month two, it tells the court in the founding team the product lacks something. Why is it not been renewed on a month two? It gives you a quick, immediate insight into why somebody is not using the product. Whereas if you do in the yearly contract, as we are all busy, we focus on acquiring new customers, like talking to investors, we tend to lose focus on those. So we have to wait for 12 months. At the time of the 12th month, the customers say we're not going to renew. It's already too late. Whereas if you're on a month-to-month contract, it helps you to quickly understand the pain point and the problem, so we can address it. So that was in 2018. We changed the strategy towards annual contract, and in that was a great year, by the way. In 2019, I shifted again one more time to say, okay, logo is 17, annual contract is 18. 2019, we said we are going to compensate you on multi-year contract. So from there on, we started focusing on multi. So today we have almost more than 50% of our contract is either 2 years or 3 years. We don't do monthly. We do in a very small portion of annual, but most of our majority of customers are on. So this is where my learning is. So what is the behavior that you wanted determines how, today my focus is on ACV. But in 2017, ACV was not even into consideration for me. Paying customer, even if they pay $500 a month, that is good enough for me. I move on. Okay, velocity was my game plan in 2017. Today, enterprise customers is what our game plan is. So it changes. So it depends, again, as founders and as sales leaders, it's our responsibility to identify what is the behavior that we wanted and compensate based on that.
Interesting. So if you've mentioned in multiple interviews before about you have these many customers, but none of these customers, not even a single customer, owns like more than 1% of your revenue, right? So you mentioned that they don't contribute. Sorry, they don't contribute to more than 1% of revenue. That is very interesting because we would if somebody is willing to pay more, we would take it. But is that a conscious decision? Is it more of a coincidence, or do you plan for it?
So it was a little bit of a coincidence, and it also along the lines, it also addresses what Akshay was asking about. How did we validate this problem? It, although initially it may sound like it's a very niche problem that we solve, RFP, responding to RFP might sound very niche. So what we realized is, probably even for us, right? We know if you're in Asia, it's called tender. If you are in Europe, it's called bid. In North America, it's called RFP. So the problem is wide enough. More importantly, this also horizontal. Construction companies need to respond to RFP. Financial services, technology companies, healthcare, insurance. Everybody needs to respond to tenders, RFPs, government contractors. So it was very compelling for us, though the use case is very simple, responding to RFP. But the problem was so wide enough. We had so many customers, so many industries. So again, beyond any company, beyond a certain point, need to send a proposal, respond to RFP, no matter what that. So what we intentionally did is we kind of intentionally in the early stages played a horizontal play. We focused on many different industries. We did not, although I would say the majority of our customers are technology companies, but we have customers all over, companies like we have Walmart or United Health in these things, or BlackRock, on financial services, or even Zoom on technology, Amazon, Facebook. We have wide variety of industry and customers. So but again, it was those cues. As the sales team, as founders, you need to understand where are you getting these cues. It's very easy for us to focus on things, but I also, I would recommend to really focus on one thing. For us, the focus was RFP use case, and we focused on horizontal thing. Otherwise, alternatively, I could have focused on technology and then help them to respond to all sort of questionnaires. That's another way of doing a focus. So my recommendation would be stay focused on one thing. It could be use case, or it could be an industry, or it could be a problem that you're solving. For us, though it sounded niche, but the market was wide enough to go after a big cap.
Got it. And talking more about customers, and you've acquired customers across different segments of the market, different geographies, and you've managed to acquire 25 of the Fortune 100 companies, which is simply amazing for a company that is so young. Now, what were your strategies to acquire such companies? Did you start moving enterprises early? What were your GTM channels? Did you slowly start moving up the enterprise, or you knew that this was more of an enterprise product than SMB?
Like I said, a lot of our early stage enterprise customers came inbound. The problem was wide enough. People did not have a solution, but we did a lot of thought-provoking content. So we were all over the place, all over wherever you're looking for RFP related information, we were there. What we realized is, again, like you said, Surinder, it's just been only 8 years. To my surprise, when we started, this is back in 2018-19 time frame. I started noticing one different pattern where customers actually started looking for people with RFP experience. As of today, again, if you look at LinkedIn, we have over 250 jobs on LinkedIn. Nothing to do with us. people are looking for responsive experience. Worldwide, there are over 250 jobs. This did not happen overnight. This initially it was one job. So at that time, we started focusing on, what are the things that enterprise customers really look for. We started educating customers. We started, responsive university or RFA university back then. We started certification. It's a very, multi-pronged approach we started. So we started certifying people. Again, it's a very small investment that we started doing. But what happened is eventually these people who are shifting their jobs or moving from one career to another career took us along with them, because I still remember there are messages saying, hey, I would not join a company if they say we are not going to invest in RFP. I do have a note like that from LinkedIn. So from one of our users said that. So those are the cues that we noticed. So we started, these are things that enterprise customers really like, because they wanted people who know their stuff. They are very risk averse, right? They're not ready to take a chance. So we started understanding what are the things. We spent a lot of energy on university. We spent a lot of energy on help articles that within the platform. More importantly, what we did is, I would say, one of our ingredient, I would say, is we listen to customers very fanatically. Every company, I'm pretty sure, they're saying, okay, we are listening to the customer. I'll tell you, there is a difference in how you listen to customers and how, at least, the way we see. As a product manager, right? In my career, I only have what 10 hours. In a 10 hours of time, what is that I can do on a call? I can probably meet with 3 customers, 4 customers soon. If it is on site, probably 1 customer a day. How can I listen to all these things? In fact, Microsoft, who is one of our enterprise customer, issued an RFP for an RFP software. It's ironic, they issued an RFP. We have to respond to that to get their deal. I'll tell you why they selected. But when we say we listen to our customer, we made a very small tweak to the entire sprint planning or our product life cycle. When you log in as a user into our product, there's a button at the very bottom of the screen which says submit idea. The submit idea, you can submit an idea. We now have almost we are approaching 500,000 users. When you as a user submit an idea, every one of those 500,000 users will be able to see that idea, and they can upvote on it, they can downvote on it, they can comment on it. Essentially, that became a big stream of backlogs for our product team to start developing features. In fact, I said Microsoft said one solid reason they selected us is they felt we are actually crowdsourcing product features to build the product, and it is coming from them, not one of. Yes, of course, we have a product management team. That was the key strategy when we said we are listening. If, again, I'm not saying this is the right strategy for everybody, but find a way to listen to those customers. And again, when you submit an idea, it is not just upload on top. We religiously follow that. My product managers are mandated to say we are considering this idea, we are not considering this idea. They have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, you will not get that rhythm. Otherwise, you will not get that. People say you submit an idea and nobody responds to that. You lose interest. So from day one, even today, we have very dedicated focus. Our product managers' time is dedicatedly focused on responding to those ideas that we get through our product. They have to acknowledge. And the moment you acknowledge the customer who took their idea, they get an alert, hey, your idea is being rejected for so and so reason, or your idea has been considered for next release, or your idea has been implemented. It goes a long way, and we have done that.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. This is probably the first time I'm hearing about something like this. I think it goes a long way in building the loyalty program for your customers. So that's a brilliant idea. So when you talked about GTM, your earlier GTM was more PPC and content, a lot of content marketing, and also word of mouth, right? So there's a lot of customer referrals happening. Also focused on Capterra and G2 and other product software suggestion sites. Has your GTM strategy changed today? For the scale that you are in today, do you still use these channels, or do you use different channels? We have a question from Shiv, asking, can you talk about the GTM strategies that were the most effective for you, and currently, or in the journey as well?
Like I said, earlier in the stage, content marketing was a real thing. So we provided, different. So I'll give you an example. Every quarter we took a theme, and then in a month, that we called it as the master theme, and then we had pillar themes. Every month we had, every week we had one of those. You can imagine one big giant blog we write about something, and then all related to that in a month we write four small blogs. It's all related to that theme, and we do it almost. We did about almost 12 small pillar blogs. And if you look at amount of content that it kind of we not only just we sat and wrote content. We did case studies around that. We did press releases around it. Could be the pillar theme could be 1 week we could be doing the most important thing is a G2 crowd. We asked customers to write G2 crowd on it, so we post that. So it all became like a theme. It worked out really great. And I'll also tell you one. If you go to responsive, we have this thing called ROI calculator. It's very easy for customers or consumers to putting in. We did not ask any. So you can determine what is relevant for you. So for me, those content marketing along with an ROI calculator gave them a real value. That is changed today. We today focus a lot of what we call as value setting. We even call it as a RVA, rapid value assessment. Today we have, especially for the enterprise customers, we need to show what is the value that we can give them. So we have internal teams. We have, in fact, what we call as we have a director named, or his title is value engineer. On enterprise, he along with the sales and pre-sales team, he gets on a call, understands the pain point, and he documents it, and we give them what we call as one sheeter, which tells you how much revenue uplift responsive can give based on what they're. So we show the value, which is not the case at all. In the early stages, it was a completely different way we play. So depends on your state of the company, it changes today. And in a broad scheme of things, we lean a lot on educating customers. We leaned a lot on showing the value. In return, we did not expect a lot. That was the fact. Today, we know it's different, but that is one thing, and and that led us to a lot of inbound leads, and we've been very our SLA to respond to leads are very quick. I respond to leads back in the days. I think it was less than 1 hour or less than 30 minutes initially. We have to respond, and we have to schedule a meeting. So follow up, all those things eventually paid out to the actual conversion.
And you've been a sales guy, at Responsive and before that as well. So can you briefly touch upon your sales strategies, especially strategies that worked for you, and also a few strategies that did not work for you?
Yeah, see, like I touched upon this earlier. As a sales leader, it was very important for me to understand what is my company's expectation on behavior. So I focused on that behavior, and I structured my entire sales team along that lines. So that as a sales leader, that was very evident for me. Okay, I needed logo focus on those things, and hire people along that line. And then we needed an annual contract hire, and now we are looking majorly on enterprise, reps who are selling minimum of $100,000 to $200,000 deal. That is what we wanted then. It changed over a period of time, but that understanding, and then along with what I call the time kills deals. We took off any barrier a customer would face in closing a deal. We were very easy to work with. We are very easy to deal with a contract. in the early stages. So that was good learning, in a way. In terms of what it did not, the learnings is, you know, we've been sometimes I consider we are very soft in nature. In sales, you have to take action quickly. If certain strategies, certain reps are not working, don't sit on and don't wait. It's again, I don't want you to be cutthroat, but it doesn't, making certain decisions quicker. It's good for that employee, and as well as you. Probably they will shine in a different place, under a different manager, or a different circumstance. Keeping them along, tagging them, trying to win them over is not something. It's very tough for entrepreneurs and especially sales leaders to make those calls. That's why one thing, it was a little late for us to start implementing these processes, be it PIPs. We were a little softer, and I think which is kind of in fact our new CRO says responsive traditionally has been very coddling. You guys have this culture of, okay, come on, okay, but that's probably not a good one for high growth companies. If you're planning to grow high, you have to make decisions quicker. And I think that was one of the learnings that I could have made sooner in the early stages. But overall, the company was growing. Overall, we had a very positive experience. So it kind of camouflaged some of these learnings. But I could have made certain decisions quicker and so. And the decisions quicker. It's not like, okay, I'm going to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to fire somebody. It's not that process-wise. I could have documented it. I could have clearly communicated it. Hey, if you don't perform for a quarter, you're out or you're in. So we have a very proper document now, but it was not the case in 2019, 2020 at all. It was like a gray area. And it felt like, okay, if a sales leader decides a rep can be there, they can be there. It felt like, okay, somebody can decide the fate. It should not be the case. The system should be fine. The processes should give the clarity. I think that was the learning experience for me.
Great. So let's talk about your team as well. So you've grown significantly, to over 500 members today. You recently opened a new office in Coimbatore. Congratulations on that as well. So what are your hiring principles, and as you scale your growth, and as you scale and hire a few people quickly, how do you ensure that your culture is maintained, regardless of the scale that you grow to?
Yeah, it's a great question, Surendra. We are big into culture. I personally believe, again, I personally believe every company in a way has their own culture. Some has defined, some has not defined. But there's a culture. It's like your fingerprint. Every company will have. So some companies have defined it. We have defined. I personally feel companies who have defined their cultural values, the odds of moving the entire company in one direction is very much higher compared to companies who don't have a defined values. It doesn't mean they will fail. I'm not saying companies don't have values fail. It doesn't mean. I'm talking about the probability of winning, probability of moving in the right direction for companies who have defined values is much higher. So we have five values. We are very much defining. I'm pretty sure anybody in the company knows those five values. I know it's on our website. Quickly to talk about, we call it as get it done as our first value. With self-explanatory, we don't like to sleep on it. We are very quick. We move fast. So getting things done is the first value. The second value is S4, stands for see something, say something. It goes top to bottom and bottom to top. No matter, you don't have to follow the hierarchy. If something is not working out, you have the liberty. And I've seen, again, don't get me wrong, I've seen time and again this works out really. This gives an employee an excuse, saying, okay, what is something not working, if they share. The third one is GBT, giving back time, give back time. So I'm sure it's self-explanatory. The fourth one is BAN, BAN stands for be agile and nimble, which is again goes to the product, how quickly we can deliver a product into the market is the agility that we're talking about. Last but not least is DOC, we call it as delight our customers. We have to continuously delight our customers. This is one of the key areas that we have done. To answer your question, how can we maintain? It's very difficult. As founders, we exhibit a lot of passion. We say about a lot of thinks about values, it's very easy for people who are talking to you as founder, it's very easy for them to understand. The second is, as you grow, maybe beyond 50 employees or 100 employees, it's very difficult for us founders to talk to everybody in the company. So you've got to be making sure you're cloning the passion into other leaders. The managers who are talking has to have same passion. So you as leader need to spend skip level meeting. You have to spend time in empowering those leaders, instilling your passion into those managers. Because at the end of the day, those managers who are going to hire more people, those are the people who are talking, interviewing. My responsibility is to instill to my next level people, and their responsibility is to instill the next level of leadership. Every leader in the company need to be aligned in the same values. That makes sure anybody whom you're hiring is being told about values, following the values, and knows the value.
Wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. We have less, around 5 minutes left, so we'll wrap it up quickly. And in the meantime, people who are listening in, if you have any questions, please post it on the Q&A section, and we'll try and get Ganesh to answer those questions as well. But just wrapping up, last couple of questions, Ganesh. So what is next for Responsive? What are your goals?
So far, all along I was talking about Responsive as helping companies to respond to many sort of responses. I do think there's an opportunity to bring on the requesting side, the opposite side. So we truly want to become the most powerful information exchange platform in the world. That's our goal, where two companies can request, or a company can request and a company can respond to that request on the same platform. That is the next. So the future for us is to become that information exchange, so that you don't have to deal with two different system or disparate system or standalone documents. That's the goal, and we are working on it, and we are about to launch a product to help the requesting side, people who are requesting RFPs versus responding to RFPs. So eventually we will have a platform that connects both sides of the spectrum.
Nice. And my last question before we move to audience question is, what advice do you have for startup founders and aspiring to be founders?
So one highly recommended is network. Probably, the reason why you are here today is also tells me that you are interested in understanding how others have done it. So networking allows you to learn from others. Most importantly, as founders, we tend to spend a lot of time. Again, nothing wrong. We have this lot of noise around us. Sometimes they make you feel like if you're not fundraising, you're doing something wrong. Don't have that. Your number one focus should be customer acquisition, right? As founders, I highly recommend you to split your timing into 3 buckets. One is customer acquisition, second one is building team, third one is fundraising. In priority, surround yourself with amazing people. Don't start doing something because I know this person as a friendly person. Don't do that. It's not good for you. Don't use your personal friends and things like that on. But if they complement, if they share the passion, it's fine. But I'm talking about, because it's easy for us humans speak easily. Oh, we settle with a friend, we can do it. It won't work that way. In business, you need very disciplined, strict, lines between co-founders. Have a very respectful co-founding team that complement you on every aspect. So that is another advice I would give. On the 3 buckets, focus on customer acquisition. Second one is focus on surround yourself with an amazing team. I can tell you it will make your day, your life so much easier. Third is, of course, you need to continuously focus on fundraising. But if I were to give 50% of your time should be customer acquisition, 30% of your time should be more on building the team, 20% should be fundraising. I did the mistake, 50% of my time was spent on fundraising, and then 20% I spent on customer acquisition. If I have to give an advice, flip that. Spend more time, beg, borrow, steal on customers. This is not a chicken and egg story. Customer brings more customers. Customer brings employees. Customers will also bring investors. That is, I'm a live example. I can attest to that. So those are my advice, Surendra.
Awesome. So we have like I think we've answered most of the questions. We have one question from Alan before we wrap up. So this question is: what data points did you find most valuable to measure while growing?
Alan, great question. In an ideal world, there's when you growing a company, there are a lot more metrics can be tracked and measured. But if I have to give one metric to measure the company's growth and successes, I would say it is the NRR, net revenue retention, right? That is the most important thing. It tells you, again, if you have an amazing sales team, they'll be able to sell anything. The regular, okay, sell me the spend concept, or sell me the stock concept. Everybody can sell it. If you have an amazing, that person can sell. But if you don't provide value, if you're not solving a problem, customers are not going to add more dollar to what they're already paying. So if I have to pick one metric in the entire company, that metric would be NRR, and it tells you it gives you many signals. Okay, if the NRR is about 110%, 120%, it tells the customers who are already there is valuing your company more than what they valued before. It gives you more energy. It gives the investors a good hint about the performance of the company. So if I have to give one point, it will be NRR.
Great. I didn't hope you got the answer for your question. Yeah, there's another question from Sudan. How do you satisfy every customer? Do you even try to?
You can't. There is no way. It is. You can't. This is generally you can't satisfy all your investors. You can't satisfy all your customers. You can't satisfy all your employees. So then it is up to you as a leader to decide what is the most, what I call this needle moving thing, helps you to because 80-20 rule applies everywhere, right? Now, how can you make sure the majority of those things are, I've tried this, don't get me wrong. I tried to satisfy everything. I've miserably and terribly failed on that journey. I don't think so. At one point of time, you got to be a bad guy to someone. You've got to be, a bad vendor to somebody. You got to be bad employee to someone. So you cannot avoid that. Right.
Yeah. We with 150 customers, we struggle to satisfy all of them. So with 2,000, I can understand, what's the chaos going behind all of the customers and keeping them happy. Great. I think that's kind of the last question that we were able to take. We are right on time here. So Ganesh, thank you so much for your time. The session has been so insightful, and we've learned so many things from you in this session. I'm sure there is so much more to share, but we've tried to compress as much as possible in this 1 hour of session. And if we talk again, I'm pretty sure we cover a lot more. But thank you so much, for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing this for all of us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Surendra, for appreciate the opportunity. And again, I wish I had these things in back in the day when I was doing. So kudos to you to drive this, and then hopefully, people who are on the call found something valuable. And again, it's not possible for you to digest everything that I said. If you take one point from this meeting, then I call that as a win for me. So happy to help in any way and any way possible. So who is on the list is an entrepreneur. Kudos to you. It's not easy for anybody to start a company. So you guys are doing amazing. I know the pain, how that is. So I have a lot of respect for all those founders and entrepreneurs. So keep up the good work, and thanks for the opportunity to listen in.
Awesome. So everybody who's joined in today, thank you so much for taking time out to do this, and we will share more snippets from this session later. So thank you so much all for joining, and happy holidays to all of you, and looking forward to meeting you again in the new year with more sessions in the Cold to Sold series. So thank you so much, everybody, and you guys all have a great day. And thank you so much, Ganesh. You have a great day as well.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.